Welcome to Tips for the Transition, where we have deep, meaningful conversations about life. We talk about how significant changes like divorce, grief, and career change can affect us, our family, our relationships, and our work, and how to move beyond them. I'm your host, Maria Tomás-Keegan, certified career and life coach for women, and I'm here to support you through the messy seasons of life so you can answer big questions like who am I now and how do I move on from here? If you're ready to consider new options, be inspired, and meet incredible women who are on this life journey with us, you're in the right place. You'll find something in each episode to give you hope and encourage you to move from panic to powerful, from rocky to resilient, and from upside down to right side up. This is Tips for the Transition. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, your host and a life and career coach for women. There are a couple of things that I am passionate about when it comes to working with professional women. I love to help women create a life and career that fulfills them because you don't deserve to stay stuck where you don't belong. And I love introducing you to other women who are on a similar mission as mine to help women. My inspiring guests are role models and resources to help you explore different career transition approaches and practices and tips. So if something hits the mark with you today, check out the show notes below for ways to connect, follow us, subscribe, and I'd love it if you would share your thoughts about what resonated most with you in a comment. So, as a career and life coach, I often hear women say that they want to find more meaningful work that aligns with their purpose and brings out their passion. But then they ask, so how do I find my purpose and my passion? That's the $1 million question. And I love to invite guests to talk with us here and provide us different insights, different perspectives, so that we get to decide for ourselves what fits for us and what doesn't. Corbie Mitleid is one of those women. She's a writer and a visionary who carved her own path, and that path wasn't easy. 2 marriages that didn't last and a constant search for the partner who understood. A succession of jobs, a series of spiritual paths, and then out of the blue, breast cancer, not once, but 3 times. Corbie's life, she describes, has been a roller coaster with no breaks. I love that image. That conjures such a great image for me. But through it all, she learned to meet challenges head on, always asking the next question and facing each new situation with strength, courage, and humor. Today, Corbie brings a complete toolbox to her work because she knows what it is to create a career out of experiences. While she's now a full-time intuitive counselor and inspirational speaker, she says she's had a career salad. I love that. The ingredients for her included being a published author, a professional actress, a television producer, a radio personality, and an executive recruiter. That's a salad for you. Corbie is also called the power behind the throne for many high-profile CEOs. So let's talk with Corbie today about letting your genie out of the bottle and creating your sentence of passion. Welcome, Corbie.
It's great to be here.
It's my pleasure. I'm so glad you've joined us today. And I really want to dig into this with you because you have a unique story and a great perspective on this. Well, let's hear a bit more about your career salad and how that led you to find your purpose and passion.
All right. Well, first of all, everybody else in my family is medical. Dad was a doctor. Mom was a nurse. My brother is a doctor, world famous for cystic fibrosis and asthma work. Me, I was an actress. I was a writer. I could have stood on the dining room table and recited Shakespeare, and they wouldn't have seen me. So all of my life, I've been trying to find out who I was without the family trope, if you will. And so, yes, actress, author, inspirational speaker, graphic novel for the series ElfQuest, legal assistant. I was always able to turn my hand to something for work, but most of it did not fulfill me. So I finally had to figure out, what do I love? What do I do all the time in any job that I've got? And so in 1995, when I was working as a legal assistant in Atlanta, I wrote down everything that I wanted in a job. And I didn't care how dumb it was. It was, I want an office with a friendly resident cat. I want to be able to dress up or down based on the day, not based on somebody's idea of what looks right. I want a job where everybody gets credit for being part of the mix. And you know, when you're working for a 400 lawyer law firm, it's not going to happen. But 10 years later, I looked at the career I had chosen to do after 9/11, because I knew that other answers had to be found out there. And I had every single thing on that job want list, including the office with a resident cat, because I work at home and I have 3.
That's a great story, and I love your energy. This is such it's going to be a fun conversation. So let's talk about purpose for a minute. I have people asking me this question a lot, and I know you do too. So tell us why people can't ask you what their purpose is.
When people assume they can come to a intuitive counselor, psychic medium, whatever you call me, and say, what's my purpose? What if I go, oh, spirit is telling me you should be digging wells in Nairobi, and A, you're scared of snakes, and B, for you, roughing it is no room service, you're not going to do that. I haven't lived your life. I haven't faced your challenges. I haven't owned your victories. When you look at the patterns in your life, you will see what is the siren call in every part you've ever lived. And that's going to literally pull you towards what your purpose is. Because our purpose, our sentence of passion, is not who we are or what we do or even how we do it. It is our vapor trail. When we go skidding into heaven on bald tires and fumes in the tank, and God hands you a beer and says, so, you get to say, I did this. Isn't it cool? And only you can tell those wonderful, that's what I did stories. Not me, not anybody else. You, because you have been there and you have lived it.
I love how you put that. You speak in imagery for me, which is so important because it conjures images, that vapor trail idea that you just spoke about, that your purpose is your vapor trail. I love that. I think that's a great way for people to think about that. So, you know, you look in the sky and you don't see a plane, but you see what the plane left behind, right? That's the vapor trail. And that just conjures a great image. All right, so let's talk for a minute about how you pull that out of people, because sometimes they are too close to it for them to even see. That's the experience I have with my clients. So let's talk about that.
And you book a session with me about, I want my sentence of passion. You are going to get a sheet of paper with 2 pages of questions, and they may feel to you like they are off the wall. In what situations do you put yourself first and why? What do you want to change? What superpower would you have if you could do it? When do you run towards something rather than away from it? when I first give people these questions, they go, these are easy. I'll finish them in 20 minutes. And then when their session is in 2 weeks, they show up that day and their eyes are very big and they say, it took me 2 days to finish this. And I grin and I say, it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things about who we are that we don't ask ourselves, or we simply assume they're just there. But when you lay them out on a table, which is what those questions will do for you, you begin to see your patterns. And all of a sudden I always move toward helping people, or everything in my life has to have something to do with saving an animal, or I love inspiring people as long as I can get them to laugh. Those are going to tell you where to start directing your passion and your delight and your purpose.
I love that. Those are great questions. I think you're so right. I said it, we are often way too close to our lives and our experiences to actually see what about them is that the pattern, right? Where's that? I call it that silver thread that weaves throughout. What is that thread that is that common ground, the commonality? And I think that's where we begin to discover what it is that really lights us up. And that's when you get lit up by something on a regular basis. That's purpose. It's absolutely purpose.
That is when you get to get up in the morning. You don't have to get up in the morning.
Absolutely. Yep. You get to do something. You don't have to do it. Yeah. Love it. All right. So let's talk about the difference between purpose and passion. I talk about passion all the time. Tell me what you see as the difference between the two.
Your passion informs your purpose. For instance, I'm funny. I have done stand-up comedy on You Think a Psychic's Life is Easy. So my passion is getting people to laugh while I get the information in there. Because when you laugh, your shields go down and the information goes in. But my purpose is to help you cross the bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. And I do that through my passion, which is getting you to laugh, holding up an interesting question, and you go, ding. So one is what feeds the other. It's like, what's the difference between rose food and the rose?
That's a great way to put it. Can you have one without the other?
You can have a passion and not be aware of your purpose, but we don't come down here. We're not a rock. Every time we come down, and we being our soul, not us, the Maria recipe, the Corbie recipe, we're one and done. But it is a matter of, how do we leave the world better than we found it? Some people, their passion is gardening, but maybe they live alone. They don't have to share it with anybody. Now, in a sense, their purpose is to nurture Mother Nature. But purpose in terms of everybody else in the world, no, they didn't have it. They didn't have to. So passion can stand alone.
Yeah.
But in order to make your purpose thrive, you need to know what your passions are so you can feed them in.
Yeah, love that. Feed them in. That's a great way to put it. Okay, so this is the Career Transition Roadmap podcast. So let's talk about passion and our careers, our jobs, what we do for a living.
Right.
I call myself a passionate on a lot of things, but I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about animals. I'm a passionate coach. I know passionate doctors, and I have a passionate painter working on my patio right now. He just loves his work. But do we find our passion through our jobs?
No, ish. I'll say ish,
I love that.
because our job might show us what our passion isn't. I mean, I am a superb power behind the throne. I am. But constantly fielding crises for a major lawyer or cleaning up after a CEO's forgetting to do a whole bunch of stuff, I am fabulous at that. But it's not what I want to do. I had a podcast myself. I'm going to laugh. And I was a brilliant interviewer. But I realized that everyone on my show was absolutely burnished and shown while I was talking to them. Me, I was chopped liver because I just pushed myself back so they would shine. And I decided it's not my thing. I'd much rather be on a podcast where I can dispense my ideas to hundreds or thousands of people that I don't know and go to the next one. So it wasn't that being a podcast host showed me my purpose per se, but it showed me what it wasn't. Sometimes that's where you have to start. Some people like you they just roll into the host idea naturally, and they're an expert at teasing out the important points with a guest. Me, I'm sorry, I'm a performer. I want to be in the spotlight, and I admit it, and there's no problem with that at all.
And a great performer you are, and a great guest you are. I love this. All right, so let's talk about personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you said in the bio you provided that you created a career from experience. So why is personal experience so important in discovering your passion?
When you see all the things that you already know, the things that life has taught you, that works for you. For instance, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to a psychic medium, I'm going to an intuitive counselor, she's going to go, if you remember the Bullwinkle show in the 60s, eeny, meeny, chilly, beany, the spirits are about to speak. Oh my God, no, I don't do that. But people come to me very often for what I call the everyday tour bus. House, car, job, kids, finances. Okay, got you, put me here. Now what? Now, let's say that someone comes to me about career. I'm going to say there are 3 ways we look at it. Stay where you are, change jobs, or you're an entrepreneur and you want to open your own place. Now, if someone comes to me and says, yes, I want to open up a vintage clothing shop, a lot of just plain old psychics might pull 3 cards and go, It says wait until October and then fire the second redhead. What's that going to do for you? Zip. Me, because I was an executive recruiter for engineering and manufacturing, and I placed people in 6-figure jobs, I know what it would take. So with me, it's a multi-card spread, a card for you, a card for any partners you have, a card for the energy around the business, the brick and mortar location to look for, marketing, clients, competition, staff, finances, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. Thereby giving my client a rocket pack on their back to empower them. If you ask yes or no to a psychic, is my business going to be successful? What if they say no? Where are you going to go with that? Or then you might even find the real fakes that go, oh no, you have a family curse. How many in your family? 4? Your dog? We can clear it with $600 candle. Oh, please. No, you'd much rather have somebody practical like me. The fact that I've done the cancer dance 3 times means I can help people walk through that. The fact that I have been divorced helps people look at relationships and decide, is it worth working on or not? Or am I in danger because I'm being gaslit? And on and on and on.
Okay. So this is a unique approach. Not everyone is going to, resonate with this, but
cool.
It's intriguing. So can it work for anyone?
When I work with you with a sentence of passion reading, that has nothing to do with my metaphysical abilities and everything to do with the fact that I am 67 and I have lived and I've gone through it. Yes, you will probably get my executive recruiter experience. You will also get my experience as someone who had to be independent of what their family thought they had to be. It is if you are compromised through some kind of illness or limitation, how to get around it. I don't call myself a survivor. I didn't beat cancer. I am a cancer dancer. I found out how graceful I could be under pressure. I avoided getting my toes stepped on, and I got off the dance floor in one piece. So with me, I can use absolutely practical abilities. The other part, some people want, some people don't. It's the difference between a psychoanalyst and a person who does art therapy. Some people might say, well, how is art therapy going to help me figure out the trauma from my childhood? Well, for you, maybe not, but for someone else, it might. These are merely tools. And I remind people, I'm not special. You can do absolutely everything that I do, including the metaphysical stuff, because we're all wired the same way. Nothing mystical about it.
That's an interesting thought. That's an interesting thought. A lot of ideas are popping in my head about whether that's true for me or not. Right? They're probably I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that right now, because it feels like a special gift that you have that I don't have.
It is truly no more than a circuit breaker. We're all wired like the same house plan. People who are convinced there is nothing to it, some people say, oh, it's the devil's work. Well, they're all locked and rusted shut. Someone who thinks there's nothing to this, but they always know when the mother-in-law is coming over. They always know when they need to go this way instead of that way, and they always avoid accidents and things. They may not think they're getting anything, but they are. I call that a shortness system. And then there's me, who's been interested in this kind of thing since I was 9. So I've always kept the circuit breaker off so the power flows, and it's how I learn about myself.
So it's figuring out what the circuit breaker is, where it is, and how to regulate it.
Could be. Another way you might want to look at it is we all have 10 fingers. Everybody can pick out chopsticks. Some of us love music. So we study and we learn how to read the notes and we practice all the time. And then 1 is 60 million is Elton John. But we all have 10 fingers. Potential is there.
Oh, that's a really good way of putting it. The potential is there for all of us.
Absolutely.
To do whatever it is we aspire to do.
Yes.
Right. So getting really clear on what that is, doing the inner work that it takes. I do it in a very different way than you do it, but it is it's essential, I think, to start there, to know who you are, what you value most,
yes,
and what you want before you can. So that's, figuring out what your purpose is and what you're passionate about, and let that
no guilt because you're not doing what everyone else thinks you should do. My father wanted me to be a lawyer. No. I loved him. He was my best friend, but I don't like confrontation. So I should not be a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I can do the same thing about looking at truth and examining ideas that a lawyer can do. So do not, I'm looking straight at all of your audience, do not be deterred by the idea your family says you should be doing such and such. What's your heart say? What is it that you want to look back on your deathbed and grin as you run out of the body to say, wow, it was what I wanted. It was everything I wanted. That's where you go.
Yeah. And that's a scary thing for a lot of people. A lot of people who are living by someone else's expectations, right? And it starts when we're very young, right? We are taught what to believe and what to believe about ourselves, and what others think we should do with our lives.
That's the thing about self-help books. We think if we don't do what the expert says, we'll get it wrong. Quick story. I will tell you the very first self-help book I read in 1968 when I was 13. And I remember the first paragraph. Judy has a groovy wardrobe. Her hair is far out and her makeup is fab. But nobody likes Judy because Judy's fat. And in that one paragraph, an entire generation of young girls was told, you are worthless unless you look exactly the way we tell you to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why, no, dump the self-help books. You
Yeah.
are your own self-help book.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So you talk about your sentence of passion.
Mhm.
First of all, help us understand what you mean by that. And then let's talk about how you get it.
Okay.
And then we'll follow up after that.
Your sentence of passion is your rallying cry, which is different from your motto. Your motto is what you say to yourself in the mirror every morning. I actually have two. Live the examined life. But the other one is a quote from Robert Heinlein's science fiction book, Time Enough for Love. In life, moderation is for monks. Take big bites. So that's how I rev myself up to go in the morning. My sentence of passion, cross the bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. When I can take someone from point A to point B when they thought they couldn't make it, tap them on the shoulder, say, here are your wings, you don't need your flight plane. Get! I'm living that passion. So the motto gets me revved in the morning, and the sentence of passion is how I fling that joy out into the world. Don't care where it lands, just this is what I know. If you love it, grab it. I'll help you. If not, live and be well.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you said. Take big bites. Yeah, we only I am as I get older, I am reminded daily how short life is.
Mhm.
A dear friend of mine just yesterday lost her mom suddenly. We just never know. So
You do.
it is so it's so easy to just go through the motions and not really live out loud. So I love it when you say take big bites.
Yeah.
But how do you
Living politely is an oxymoron.
living politely? Yeah. Mm. Yeah, again, living up to what other people think you should be and what you
Mhm.
should say and how you should act, but stepping into your own power of
Mhm.
who you are, what you believe, what you value, and what you want
Mhm.
is an important, and figuring out what is that, for in your words, sentence of passion that actually drives you, that speaks about you every time you step out there.
Yes. Especially women our age. What did I do with my life? Because when we women are younger, we are taught, molded, at least our generation, into whatever you want. You're wrong, you're bad, you'll be punished, and you have to watch somebody else have it. Whether it's a cookie that your mother gives it to your brother and looks at you and says, girls who eat cookies get fat. Do you really want a cookie? To you're supposed to do this for your family, towards women don't really have to work, it's the guys, whatever. That's old ideas, but it's how we were raised. So a lot of women come to me in their 50s and 60s, paralyzed with fear. What am I now? What am I worth? What am I supposed to do? And that's where helping them look at all the things they did in their life will help them find that passion and that purpose.
Hmm.
You're not done just because your last kid went to college.
Okay, so when we figure out what that sentence of passion is for us,
Mhm.
how does that change our lives?
We don't get up lost. We don't get up and stare out the window saying, why should I even bother being here?
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not, I don't have anything to look forward to. When you have your sentence of passion, there's always the, well, where am I going to put it today? Whether it is you've created a business out of it, whether it is you spend time talking to friends who are also lost and you help them come out of it. Whether it's you say, I've always wanted to do cat fostering and rescuing. I'm going to do it now. And now I'm going to open up a cat cafe so that people can maybe adopt those cats. They'll lead you to things. When you know what your sense of passion is, you will not be lost.
I love that. It gives you the reason to get up in the morning because you get to do that. So
Yes.
I I'm thinking about my own life and how many years I spent doing what I did, 30 years in a corporate role, climbing the ladder, making more money, more prestige, more responsibility, all of that, and not really being passionate about it. And I didn't realize that until it was ripped out from under me unexpectedly. And I got to really look at it and decide, do I want more of that or something else? And
it's what I call the dawn breaks over Marblehead moment.
I use that same I use that same phrase. Yeah, I grew up in Massachusetts and Marblehead was right.
There you go.
Right above it. Yeah. So light dawns on Marblehead, I say. Yeah. Yeah, and so often we never break out. We never wake up from that because we are on this treadmill and we don't know what's on the, what if you stepped off it? What might you find? And that's where I think you're knowing what you're passionate about, knowing what you love to do will help lead you to your purpose. One feeds the other, as you say. And understanding what that thread is that weaves throughout, that leads you to discovering what your purpose is.
And don't think that your purpose has to be worldwide. Not everybody is made to be a Gandhi, a Wayne Dyer, an Al Gore. No. If you make a difference even to your community, so that when you cross over, people speak of you and remember what you said, and you're picked. Like a friend of mine, his picture is in the cafe where he always had Saturday breakfast.
Yeah.
You've fulfilled your purpose. You've made a difference in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be global.
And I like to say it's in your world, right?
Yes.
So it's in this world around you. And when you make a difference, when you make an impact, that's when the ripples begin. And you don't need to cause all of those ripples. You need just to start it. And that's impacting someone else's life. And then they're going to impact someone, and they're going to impact, and there go the ripples.
Think of a teacher who pulls a student who is mediocre and teaches them to love music. And the kid grows up and loves music and teaches it to their kid, and their kid becomes a famous conductor. You never even met the person who is the end point of your passion and purpose.
You'll never know. You'll never know the impact. Just know that you're making
it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Just believe that when you do something with passion and purpose, you're affecting a lot of people's lives, and you'll never know how many. I love this conversation, Corbie. All right. So we have one last thing to do in this episode of the podcast. I would love to, and that is to, we call this show Tips for the Transition for a reason. I'd like for you to share your favorite tips and takeaways for our audience today. What's your first one?
The first one is always ask yourself the 3 most important questions in the world. Because when we're trying to find our passion and purpose, sometimes we let things stop us. So the first question is, what am I X about? And X is afraid, angry, disappointed, whatever. Second, why am I X about that? And the third thing we never ask ourselves, what do I think would happen if I stopped being X about that? Allow yourself to flip the narrative, change the story, look at a different way of responding than you're used to responding. That opens up so much.
Powerful questions. All right. Run them by us one more time.
What am I X about that? X being whatever is the emotion.
Afraid, angry, frustrated.
Disappointed. Right.
What am I frustrated?
Why am I X about that?
Why am I frustrated about it?
What do I think would happen if I stopped being X about that?
That's so powerful.
Simple,
what if I stopped being frustrated about it? Yeah, I love that. Great series of questions.
And if you just go, I don't know, that's when you use a little crowbar and you say to yourself, if you had to guess.
Yeah.
Because when people just have to guess, you're going to hear what they would have said anyway.
Yeah, just dig a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Love that. Love that. All right. Got another one?
No is a fabulous idea. We are taught, we women, to say yes to everything. But sometimes when we say yes to somebody else, we're saying no to ourselves. So I literally have postcards that I give to my clients, and it has written on a little chalkboard, no is a fabulous idea. And if somebody objects to your saying no to them, you just give them what I call my 2 magic phrases. Thank you for sharing. You may think that if you wish. And then you go do what you need to do.
Yeah. No is a fabulous idea. Yeah. You're talking about setting boundaries for ourselves. When we keep saying yes, we just keep emptying ourselves of our energy, our so many things. And when we're empty, we're not good to anybody, especially ourselves.
You can't drink from an empty cup.
Right.
And the other thing is, when we always say no, when we're always available, et cetera, people get used to that. So all of a sudden, when we need and we ask, they go, oh, well, that wasn't the deal. Perfect example. I was running an event with 3 other people several years ago, and they all loved the budget that we had, and we spent this money. And then when there was a truck accident that day that blocked the road so nobody could get to the event, and we were $2,000 in the hole, they all said, oh, well, I didn't sign up for that. And so I was stuck with a $2,000 bill.
Oh, my.
They could spend the money, but they wouldn't pay for, when it happened. So that's why you need to draw your boundaries. Now I know if somebody wants to spend money with me, we sign something.
Yeah.
It was an expensive lesson, but that's why saying no empowers you so that people will value your yes more and not waste it.
That's really so true. So true. Love that. All right. Got a third one?
Let's see. Learn how to be a Martian detective. Now,
how to be a what detective?
Martian detective.
Martian detective.
Yes, here's the example I give. If you and I were sitting across from each other and you had water coming out of your eyes, I might say, why are you crying? But I could be wrong. Gleeble, the Martian, who has just been assigned to go investigate Earth, hops out of his little saucer, toddles over to you and says, why is there water coming from your eyes? And Gleeble might get a better answer because maybe your contact lenses are bugging you, or maybe you have allergies, or maybe there's an emotional basis. And the very quick story to give that illustration. There was a man, he was married, he had a daughter, he was in a bad car accident. They put him back together, but his face kind of looked like spin art. Very embarrassed. So he always kind of walked around hiding, but he was still married with a kid. One night he was putting his daughter to bed. She grabs his face, smushes it next to hers and says, this would be a great picture, but it would be better if mommy's face were in the picture. Now, old him would have said, oh my God, even my daughter thinks I'm hideous. PTSD for the rest of his life. He knew how to think like a Martian and turned it right back to her. Why would it be better if mommy's face were in the picture? She looks at him and says, because mommy can't hold the camera still and you take good pictures. One question, one non-judgment investigation saved years of pain.
Yeah. Wow. Boy, that is a powerful tip. Don't judge. Don't assume you know. Ask. Just ask so you do know. And hopefully they'll tell you the truth.
Fingers crossed.
Wow. Corbie, I've loved this conversation with you. I've learned a lot, and I've learned about looking at things a little differently. And I'm sure that our audience has as well. So I know that a lot of them are just going to want to reach out and touch you in a more personal way.
Sure.
So what is the one very best way for them to do that?
It's go right to the website, corbiemitleid.com. There are probably over 100 articles there about things. I have something like 35 different readings and consultations. I have lots of information there for you. Could be that all you need to do is go to the website and read what I've written, and that's fine. If you need me, I work 6 days a week, but you can't have me on Wednesday. That's date day with my husband.
And there are your boundaries. I love that.
Yes, ma'am.
She walks the talk. I love that. Corbie, thank you so much for joining us.
It was fun.
It was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I know a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this. So thank you again. And for those in our audience, I appreciate that you're a part of this community and that you join us each week. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment or a review. And if there's a star where you're watching or listening, click a star. Let us know what you think about it. And as I said at the top of the show, I love creating and sharing resources for professional women who feel stuck in their careers. So if you feel stuck over something and you'd like to get a fresh perspective on it, reach out and let's chat. You'll find all the links for Corbie and me in the show notes below. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, you can do that on my Facebook group, my private Facebook group, the Career Transition Roadmap. And the link for that is below as well. So let's meet again here next Wednesday, same time, because I believe it's our time to thrive. Let's do that together. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you turn transition into triumph.